Hello everyone, welcome to this review of the Jean Grey Phoenix by XM Studios. This is my second statue from XM Studios. I already did, though, a review of Thanos, which was my third piece, so he kind of cut in line, but now I finally found the time to do this review of the Phoenix statue. And I must say that I'm really impressed with this statue here. I was very skeptical over the course of the production phase of this statue because, well, XM Studios does things differently. They like to share their works in progress and involve the community in the design, and they just give people the chance to weigh in on the look of a statue. And when I first saw this piece, it was presented as a cast, and I really liked the heads that were included there, but the heads were kind of changed over the course of time, so I grew a bit skeptical because I wasn't completely sure how I felt about the direction that this piece was taking. But I decided to stick with my pre-order, and I have to admit that I'm really happy that I actually did that, because I'm so satisfied with how this statue came out. It's one of those quite expensive statues these days. XM pieces has this tendency of climbing up in value because there's just such a huge demand for these pieces, and they're not available worldwide. So there is kind of a demand for these pieces on the aftermarket, and also because XM Studios doesn't do these huge, excessive edition sizes, so they usually stick exactly underneath 1,000 pieces. And I do believe that is the case also here with Jean Grey, and also with Thanos in the background, that they did, I think, 999 pieces of these. So there is a very high demand for these statues on the aftermarket, and that's why you see these rather exorbitant aftermarket prices. In any case, guys, I'm looking very much forward to doing this review, and I'm going to weigh in on my thoughts on the sculpt and the paints and the portraits particularly, and also of course the firebird, the phoenix that you can see here in the background, because that's also one of the things that kind of changed during the production phase. But overall, I'm very satisfied, and I think this review will be primarily a positive one. So with that said, sit back guys, relax, and I hope you'll enjoy this review. We'll start by having a look at her faces. Alright guys, here we go. Now this is definitely my favorite head of the three available options. I call this the serious head because she kind of looks serious here. And what I really like here is the paint application, but also the sculpt that XM put into this portrait. The eyes are perfectly applied. They are looking straight forward, both of them, and they have this green color. And the skin tones are nicely highlighted with a subtle red going on in some places, just to give this head a bit of life. And then she has these red, deep looking lips here with a gloss effect to them, and it looks really nice, I think. It's a very clean paint, and it looks exceptionally nice, I think. The head, or the hair piece, is, well, of course she's got this red hair, and there are these shades and highlights going on. And on the back here you can see how the hair is waving in all directions. It looks really nice, I think. The only issue that comes with this portrait here, and it's actually nothing related to the portrait itself, it's more how it fits into the body. As you can see down here, I don't know how well you can see, but there is actually kind of a gap going on here between her neck and the body. It's not really noticeable from a normal viewing distance, so it's easy to just ignore the fact, but it's there, and I think it's only fair to mention this in this review. I haven't actually seen pictures from other collectors having this issue, so it might just be my luck, or the opposite, that we have it here. But it's definitely also something that you could fix by just sanding the very bottom of the head here. So it's nothing that's really worrying me, and even though this is my favorite head, I find it quite easy to ignore the fact that there's a slight gap going on here. Alright, I'm gonna show you the other heads that comes with this statue. So let me just take off this one. And the magnet is very strong, so you have to put in a bit of an effort. And this is the second one, or actually my second favorite one of the three. This is the angry head, because she looks a bit more angry here, powered up, fully charged, and in best battle form, so to say. Her eyes are whited out, her hair is waving even more here upwards. So it's like she's got this power going on, or she's surrounded by this force. It looks really nice, and I know that a lot of collectors actually favor this head more than the two other ones. The paint application is definitely good here as well. It's basically the same as on the previous head. So you have the same paint scheme going on with the hair. You have shades and highlights. You have subtle red tones going on her skin. The difference, of course, are the whited eyes, but her lips are the same as well. So you have this gloss effect on these dark, deep red looking lips. It looks really nice, I think. And I can easily understand why a lot of collectors favor this head over the other two ones. Alright, let me switch it out now with the third and final head. Man, it's like this magnet is even stronger. Now, the third head, which is actually also favored by some collectors, is this one. I call this the pretty or the cute looking face. And one of the reasons that I don't like it is actually just because of that. I don't really think that it's fitting in any way. It looks nice, it's nicely done still, and the sculpt is actually okay. Her hair here goes all the way down on the back here, so it's a bit more difficult to put on the head actually. The skin tones are the same, so are the lips, but the eyes are the major difference here, I think. You have these very, very exaggerated eyelashes going on, and she just looks a bit too cutesy for me, I think. And there are also something going on with the sculpt here. I don't find it fitting, to be honest. It seems out of context. It seems like it should fit on a different looking statue, a more stylized or cartoony looking one. So this is definitely my least favorite of the three options. But I know that some collectors actually like this more than the other ones. And it's nice that so many collectors can have their own desires fulfilled with this statue. So despite whatever taste you might have, there's probably going to be one of the heads in your favor here. So yeah, I'm gonna switch it out with my favorite one again, because I'd like to do my review with this head on. Anyways, guys, that's basically all I had to say about the heads. I think it's really nice that XM Studios adds these three options to the collectors. It's always nice to have something to switch out from time to time, just to give the piece a new expression and make it interesting again. If you're just used to looking at one thing, you can switch it out and have a different statue almost in your collection. But yeah, this is definitely my favorite one, and I think many collectors would agree with me. In any case, let me zoom out. Let's have a look at her body and the actual paint scheme going on here, and maybe even include a bit of the bird in the next clip. We'll see if I can fit it in. So just give me 2 seconds. Alright guys, here we go. Now, one of the main selling points, for me at least, when it comes to this statue is the overall design, but also the sculpt of this statue, and that includes the pose of Phoenix here. I really think that the pose is very unique, and to me it shows that XM Studios had a clear vision and ambition with this piece, trying to execute this actually quite unusual pose. At least I've never seen anything like it on other statues released by any other company, and I really think that XM Studios deserves quite a lot of applause for actually committing to this design here and actually being able to execute it. I think it's in its own right a very applaudable feat, to be honest. In any case, I really like the body here. It's beautifully sculpted with a lot of details and everything, and it's actually of a high level, and it's just a very clean sculpt also, and it's precise. There's no residue or anything that could somehow take away from this sculpt here. It's clean, it's perfect, and it's just done so nicely. The color scheme is very simple. You only have green colors here and some gold parts, and then a very small bit of black here on the front and around her neck. The green colors are nicely shaded here, so you have a lot of depth going on. So are the gold parts actually. I think it's the same gold color as you have on my Thanos piece. You can see him over there to the right, I think. It's basically the same color in terms of the gold. It looks really nice, I think, and they did a nice job with the shading. Other than that, there's actually not much to say about the color scheme here because it's so simple. But I just really want to highlight that I find the pose and the sculpt of the body here to be very, very beautiful, and it's just of a very high level, I think. I also just love the way that she's got her arms raised here. You'll be able to see this better maybe on a photo that I'll put in this video, or maybe on my next shot or towards the end of this video, because I really like the design in terms of her arms that are raised here, along with the firebird in the background that has its wings raised. It adds a lot of symmetry, but it also just gives you the feeling of the overall design being very well thought through. And I think that XM Studios executed it beautifully here. Anyways guys, let's just skip right ahead and have a look at the base and everything, and talk a bit about that. So give me 2 seconds. Okay guys, here we have the base, and as with many of the other statues released by XM Studios, again we have the theme of the Sentinel going on here. It's not really easy to see as such, but when you know the design of a Sentinel, you can easily recognize the color scheme here as well. Of course, on pieces like Magneto and Wolverine, it's a bit more easy to tell because, well, Magneto is actually sitting on the hand as a throne almost, and Wolverine is standing on top of the face of the Sentinel. It's not as evident here, but it's clearly supposed to be along the lines of a Sentinel piece here. Anyways, it's nicely detailed. It's very, very heavy actually, and it's heavy because it needs to support this statue with its very unique design, with the firebird in the back and the statue in the front. So it's a very heavy base that really has a purpose here, other than just creating a theme. So it's very heavy. I don't think it's solid or anything, but it's definitely very hefty. It's one of the most heavy bases I actually have in my collection. The paint scheme is very, very nice. You have some nice metallic finishes going on. Also a lot of details of the inner workings of the Sentinel along the sides here. You can see there are a lot of mechanics going on here, and some cut cables and all that. And if we look at the top here where the firebird is actually coming out, you have this melted or molten metallic thing going on here actually. So you really get the sense of how the heat and the power of the firebird or the phoenix is kind of influencing the structure underneath here. And also if you go, it almost gives you this lava kind of feel. You can also see here how the metals are rippling, and it's like it's gonna explode or something. It's nicely detailed, it looks beautiful, and it really supports the look and design of this statue very well, I think. The statue itself is, well, it's fixed into the base here with the firebird in the back, which is actually the main thing that is resting inside the base, but it's also doing it in a second spot, which is over here. Then you have these additional pieces that are fitted in with magnets, and you can see how I assembled this piece in my unboxing video. I think these are separate just in terms of making it easier to box it up and everything, instead of having all these small bits and pieces sticking out in every direction. But you can't really tell, even though it's made of this very transparent kind of material, you can't really see the magnets going on here, so it's nicely done, I think. Anyways, the paint application is nice, so is the sculpt or design of it, and it's very, very heavy, so it makes for a very heavy statue, this one actually, when you count everything that's going on here. I think it's even more heavy than my Thanos statue, but I don't have the exact weight. but it's probably around 11 or 13 kilograms, I could imagine. Anyways, guys, let's zoom out and wrap up this review and just discuss this piece as an overall statue. So give me 2 seconds. Right, guys, so if I had to give my honest thoughts and considerations about this piece, I think one of the main important things to mention is the overall design of this statue, because it's like it goes beyond any other quarter scale statue in the way that it's built and realized by XM Studios. And I think it's in order to give XM Studios a lot of praise for actually being able to do this statue like they did here. It kind of goes beyond your typical quarter scale statue, and it actually almost looks like, well, a diorama even, because you have this firebird or phoenix in the background, and it just is a beautiful design, I think. And I'd even go as far as saying that this is probably one of XM Studios' most impressive and well created statues. Because it just really shows how this company sets itself apart from other companies such as Sideshow Collectibles. I mean, to be quite honest, I'd never imagined Sideshow Collectibles committing to a piece like this and actually being able to realize it in the same level at least. So this is a very unusual and very unique statue, and I think that any collector that owns this piece should be very proud and very thankful for actually having this in their collection. As I said earlier, one of the main selling points, at least for me, when it comes to this statue, is the design or the pose of it. And what I mean by this particularly is how she's got her arms up on each side here, and she's actually resembling the same pose as the bird in the background, and this adds a lot of balance and a lot of symmetry to this statue. It just takes it to a whole new level because you have this very stylized and very aesthetic pose to it. It looks like something that you'd see on a drawing or a piece of artwork painted or something, but XM Studios actually managed to capture this aspect and put it into a 3D statue like this one here, and I think they did a magnificent job with that. If we had to talk a bit about the bird in the background, this is one of the things that XM Studios actually changed over the course of their production phase. In the beginning, the material used for making the bird was actually a different one. It was a solid, non-clear material. This is a clear resin with colors inside of it. And you have this graduation or gradient change from a yellow-orange thing to a darker, deeper orange or red here in the middle. And I really, really love this transition. And I was actually very skeptical in the beginning with the change of material, because instead of having this solid material which was just painted these colors here, to have this more clear and transparent material, there's the risk of it seeming a bit more cheap and plastic-like, because obviously it's not glass or anything, so it has the risk of looking a bit more cheap. But when you have this displayed in your collection and you have some sort of light going on, maybe just a lamp or whatever, or just the outdoors light hitting this material here, you'll really see how it comes to life and it spreads the light, and it really does something magical. And it's very difficult to actually capture this on photos and everything, and particularly also in this video here. But something just happens when the light hits this material here, and it's as if it's actually fire or whatever, and it looks beautiful, and it's something that you need to experience. And I can only give my humble words and try to describe the feeling, but you have to see it to really understand it. All I can say is that many of the skepticisms and hesitations that people have shared and had about this piece, I've had them as well when I was waiting for this statue, and I was very close to actually just selling it or giving someone else my PO, but I decided to stick with it and just give this statue the benefit of the doubt. And to this date, I'm so happy and thankful that I did that, because it's just a very unique and beautiful piece that I'm so proud to have in my collection. So My feelings about XM Studios is that it's very nice to have a new company on the market that challenges the ideas and the kind of behemoth status of sideshow collectibles, because they're just so big these days. So it's nice to have another company that tries to challenge these ideas, give the customers and consumers some options first and foremost, but also trying to provide even more quality, raising the bar in terms of just the box that this statue comes in, the additional pieces and bits like the artwork that you can see over there in the background. Things like this, they're just trying to give consumers even more bang for the buck. Even though these XM statues pieces are quite expensive, I think that there's some merit to this price, because it is a very different level of statue. I think, at least if you compare it to your run-of-the-mill quarter scale premium format by Sideshow Collectibles. Some of them are really, really nice, but many of them are also kind of boring or uninspired and seem like just a money grab somehow. But it really depends on which pieces do you compare with. In any case, I'm not going to go into a discussion about XM versus Sideshow or anything in this video here, but I just thought that it would be relevant to mention some of the things that sets XM apart a bit. And I think that's relevant to include when talking about this statue as well. Anyways, I think this is one of the best statues ever made by XM Studios. Maybe the Magneto is also up there, and of course my Thanos in the background, which I think is an underrated piece, even though its price is high, of course. I think this is a good testament to what it is that XM Studios is seeking to achieve and do in this hobby here. And I'm just very thankful for having this piece in my collection today. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this review here. It might be a bit too long, but yeah, I thought I needed to include everything somehow. So I hope you enjoyed it even still, and if you have any questions or comments, of course go ahead and post them, and do remember to like and subscribe my videos and check out my homepage and my Facebook page. Thanks a lot for watching guys, have a good one, and I'll see you in my next review.